The Ultimatum. In the grand chamber of the Galactic Confederation, beings from 1,000 worlds gathered, their forms as diverse as the stars themselves. At the center of it all stood High Counselor Zixara, her iridescent scales shimmering under the pale blue light of the holographic displays. Order. I call this emergency session to order. Zixara's voice resonated through the chamber, silencing the murmurs and whispers. We face a grave threat. The Zarkol Empire expands unchecked, consuming world after world. Our forces are stretched thin, and we need alternatives. A ripple of unease passed through the assembly. They all knew what alternatives meant. It was time to draw upon the reserves, to call in the neutral systems, and force them to choose a side. Counselor Vextral, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed with agitation. What of the humans? Earth has remained neutral for centuries, hoarding resources and technology, while we bleed to maintain galactic peace. Zixara's inner eyelids flickered, a sign of contemplation among her species. Yes, the humans. They've hidden behind their neutrality for too long. It's time they contribute to the greater good of the galaxy. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of agreement and protest. Earth was an enigma to many in the Confederation. They were known for their diplomacy, their trade, but little else. Some viewed them as cowards, others as cunning manipulators. Silence. Zixara's tail lashed, her patience wearing thin. We will send an ultimatum to Earth. They will join our war effort against the Zarkol, or face the consequences of opposing the Galactic Confederation. As the decision was made, none in the chamber could have predicted the chain of events they were about to set in motion. Aboard the Terran diplomatic vessel Olive Branch, Ambassador Elena Chen received the transmission from the Confederation. Her dark eyes narrowed as she read the ultimatum, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Captain," she called out, her voice calm despite the gravity of the message. "Set course for Earth. It seems our time has finally come." The Olive Branch slipped into faster-than-light travel, carrying news that would change the course of galactic history. Back on Earth, in the hidden depths beneath the Mariana Trench, General Marcus Steele stood before a vast holographic display of the galaxy. Countless pinpoints of light represented known star systems, with the territories of the Confederation and the Zarkol Empire clearly delineated. "They've made their move, sir," his aide, Lieutenant Sarah Hawkins, reported. "The ultimatum has been delivered." Steele's weathered face remained impassive, but a glint of anticipation shone in his steel-gray eyes. After all these years of waiting, of preparing in secret, they finally give us the excuse we needed. He turned to face the room, filled with Earth's top military and political leaders. President Amara Okafor, her regal bearing befitting her position, stepped forward. "Ladies and gentlemen," she addressed the assembly, her voice rich with authority. "Operation Awakening is now in effect. May God have mercy on those who thought to threaten Earth." As the leaders of Earth set their long-laid plans into motion, the Galactic Confederation waited with bated breath for a response to their ultimatum. They expected fear, perhaps anger, or desperate pleas for negotiation. What they received instead was a simple three-word message that would echo through the annals of galactic history. "We accept. Prepare." In the Confederation chamber, Zixara read the message aloud, her voice tinged with confusion. "What does this mean?" "They accept, just like that." Vextral pulsed erratically, his crystalline form flickering with agitation. "It's a trick. It must be. The humans are trying to buy time, to negotiate from a position of strength." But Counselor Kraz, an ancient being whose species had long studied the patterns of history, felt a deep sense of foreboding. "No," he rasped, his voice like dry leaves in the wind. "I fear we have gravely misunderstood the humans. This is not the response of a species caught off guard. This is the response of one that has been waiting." As the Confederation leaders argued and speculated, humanity was already on the move. In shipyards hidden in the asteroids of the Oort cloud, Vast fleets that had been constructed in secret over centuries began to power up. In underground bases on Earth and its colonies, soldiers trained in combat techniques unknown to the rest of the galaxy donned advanced powered armor. And deep within a mountain on Mars, in a chamber known only to a select few, President Okafor stood before a device that held the power to reshape the very fabric of spacetime. "Are you certain about this, Madam President?" General Steele asked, standing at her side. "Once we reveal our true capabilities, there's no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again." Okafor's gaze remained fixed on the device, its swirling energies reflecting in her eyes. "For centuries, we've watched the Confederation and the Zarkol Empire tear the galaxy apart with their wars. We've seen species enslaved, planets destroyed. We stayed neutral not out of cowardice, but because we weren't ready. Now we are." She placed her hand on the activation panel, and the device thrummed to life, its energy pulsing in sync with the beating of her heart. "The Confederation wanted to force our hand. Well, they're about to learn why you should be careful what you wish for. It's time for humanity to take its place on the galactic stage." As the device powered up, its energy rippling through subspace, every human ship and installation across the solar system received the activation signal. Cloaking fields that had hidden humanity's true military might for centuries began to drop. In orbit around Jupiter, Fleet Admiral Yuki Tanaka watched as her ships decloaked, revealing a vast armada that dwarfed anything the Confederation or the Zarkol Empire could field. "All ships, this is Admiral Tanaka," she broadcasted to her fleet. "The time for hiding is over. Set course for the rendezvous point. Today, we show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of." As Earth's fleets moved out, carrying with them weapons and technologies beyond the imagination of their would-be rulers, the rest of the galaxy remained blissfully unaware of the storm that was about to break upon them. In the Confederation chamber, Zixera and her fellow leaders continued to debate and plan, confident in their superiority, unaware that their ultimatum had not cowed humanity, but had instead awakened a sleeping giant. The stage was set. Humanity was on the move, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Preparations and revelations. The Galactic Confederation's Central Command buzzed with activity. Holographic displays flickered with real-time updates from across known space as the various member species scrambled to prepare for Earth's integration into their war effort. High Counselor Zixera stood at the center of it all, her scaled brow furrowed in concentration. "Report," she commanded, her gaze fixed on the tactical display, showing the region of space where Earth's forces were expected to rendezvous with the Confederation fleet. A Vorquin analyst, his tentacles dancing over a complex interface, responded. "High Counselor, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the Sol system. They're unlike anything in our database." Zixera's inner eyelids flickered rapidly, a sign of growing concern. "Elaborate." "It's as if a veil is being lifted," the analyst continued, his voice tinged with awe. "We're suddenly picking up readings of massive structures in Earth's outer solar system. Shipyards, defense platforms, things that weren't there before." Counselor Vextrol pulsed forward, his crystalline form glowing with agitation. "Impossible. We've had the Sol system under constant surveillance for centuries. How could they hide such infrastructure?" As if in answer to Vextrol's question, a new alert blared through the command center. The main display shifted to show a live feed from one of the Confederation's border outposts. The assembled leaders watched in stunned silence as a vast fleet of sleek, predatory-looking ships emerged from what appeared to be tiers in the very fabric of spacetime. "By the cosmic egg," Zixera whispered, her usual composure shaken. "What are we witnessing?" Aboard the Terran flagship, Prometheus, Fleet Admiral Yuki Tanaka allowed herself a small smile as she watched her fleet exit the trans-dimensional corridors. Decades of preparation, of secret technological development, were finally bearing fruit. "Status report," she commanded, her voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of excitement. Her XO, Commander Jack Harper, a grizzled veteran with cybernetic enhancements visible along his temples, responded crisply. All ships have successfully transitioned, Admiral. No detection of Confederation or Zarkal forces in the immediate vicinity. We've caught them with their pants down, just as planned. Tanaka nodded, her dark eyes glinting with satisfaction. Excellent. Initiate Phase 2. Let's give our new allies a proper introduction to humanity's real capabilities. As the Terran fleet moved into formation, other ships began to emerge from their trans-dimensional jumps. These weren't warships, but massive factory ships, mobile shipyards, and resource extractors. Within hours, the previously empty sector of space was transforming into a bustling hub of human military and industrial might. Back in the Confederation Command Center, the atmosphere had shifted from confusion to outright panic. Reports were flooding in from across the galaxy, all telling the same story. Humanity had somehow managed to establish a presence far beyond their home system, all hidden from view until this moment. Counselor Kraz, his ancient voice raspy with emotion, addressed the stunned assembly. We have gravely underestimated the humans. They were never the backwards, isolated species we believed them to be. They were simply waiting, preparing. Zixara, struggling to maintain order, turned to her military advisors. What are we dealing with here? Give me specifics. The head of Confederation Intelligence, a shadowy figure known only as the Whisper, stepped forward. Its form seemed to shift and ripple, making it difficult to focus on. Our initial analysis suggests that human technology is significantly more advanced than we previously believed. Their ships appear to be capable of manipulating space-time itself for faster-than-light travel. Their weapons, the Whisper paused, as if reluctant to continue. Their weapons include directed energy weapons of unprecedented power and what appear to be gravity manipulation devices capable of tearing ships apart at a molecular level. A hush fell over the command center as the implications sank in. The humans weren't just joining the war effort. They were redefining the entire playing field. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Amara Okafor addressed the global population in a historic broadcast. Billions watched as their leader, standing before the gleaming spires of New Geneva, revealed the truth that had been hidden for so long. My fellow Terrans, she began, her voice strong and clear. For centuries, we have hidden our true strength from the galaxy. We have watched and waited as other species tore each other apart in endless wars. We developed in secret, pushing the boundaries of science and technology, all in preparation for this day. She paused, her gaze seeming to meet that of every viewer. The Galactic Confederation fought to bully us into their war. They believed us weak, unprepared. Today, we prove them wrong. Today, humanity steps out of the shadows and takes its rightful place among the stars. As Okafor's words echoed across Earth and its colonies, the reaction was one of overwhelming pride and determination. Humans had long known they were preparing for something big, even if the details had been classified. Now, with the truth revealed, a wave of excitement and purpose swept through the population. In shipyards and factories across the solar system, production kicked into high gear. Advanced AI systems, long hidden from the rest of the galaxy, coordinated a logistical dance of unprecedented scale. Raw materials from asteroid mines and gas giant harvesting operations flowed into manufacturing centers, emerging as state-of-the-art weapons and ships. On Mars, General Marcus Steele oversaw the deployment of the Terran Marine Corps. Soldiers in powered armor that could shrug off conventional energy weapons ran combat drills, their movements enhanced by neural interfaces that linked them directly to their suits and weapons. Remember, Steele addressed his troops, his voice gruff but filled with pride. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting to reshape the galaxy into something better. The Confederation and the Zarkal have had their chance. Now it's our turn. As humanity's war machines sprang into action, the first diplomatic contacts between Terran forces and the Confederation fleet were taking place. Admiral Tanaka, flanked by a team of diplomats and military advisors, stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, facing a holographic projection of High Counselor Zixera and her entourage. "Welcome, Admiral," Zixera began, struggling to keep her voice steady. "We appreciate Earth's prompt response to our call for aid." Tanaka's expression remained neutral, but there was a glint of amusement in her eyes. "Thank you, High Counselor. We're eager to assist in bringing this conflict with the Zarkol to a swift conclusion. Perhaps you'd like a demonstration of our capabilities." Before Zixera could respond, alarms blared across both Terran and Confederation networks. The Zarkol, somehow alerted to the gathering of forces, had launched a massive assault on a nearby Confederation world. Tanaka's expression hardened. "It seems the enemy has chosen to accelerate our timetable. High Counselor, with your permission, the Terran fleet will take point on this operation. It's time to show the Zarkol exactly what they're dealing with." As the human ships moved into attack formation, their engines glowing with exotic energies, the rest of the galaxy held its breath. The sleeping giant had awakened, and the true extent of humanity's power was about to be unleashed. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations as the day everything changed. The day humanity showed the galaxy why you should always be careful what you wish for. First contact, first blood. The void of space erupted into a dazzling display of light and energy as the combined Terran and Confederation fleets engaged the Zarkol assault force. At the forefront of the battle, the sleek, predatory forms of Earth's warships moved with a grace that belied their immense power. Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, her posture relaxed, but her eyes sharp as she took in the tactical hologram before her. The Zarkol fleet, a chaotic mass of biomechanical monstrosities, swarmed toward the Confederation world of Novaris Prime. "Commander Harper, status report," Tanaka ordered, her voice calm amidst the controlled chaos of the bridge. Harper's cybernetic eyes flickered as he processed the incoming data streams. "The Zarkol have committed approximately 60% of their local forces to this assault. Admiral, their vanguard will make contact with our forward elements in T-30 seconds." Tanaka nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Excellent. It's time to introduce ourselves properly. All ships, execute Operation Thunderbolt." Across the Terran fleet, crews sprang into action. On the smaller, nimbler frigates, pilots linked their minds directly to their ships' neural interfaces, becoming one with their vessels. Aboard the massive dreadnoughts, weapons officers primed systems that could reshape the very fabric of space-time. As the two fleets clashed, the true extent of humanity's technological prowess became apparent. Terran ships phased in and out of normal space, making them nearly impossible to target. Their energy weapons lanced out, not with beams of light or plasma, but with concentrated streams of exotic particles that simply erased portions of Zarkol ships from existence. From the Confederation command ship, High Counselor Zixera watched in stunned silence as the humans tore through the Zarkol lines like a hot knife through butter. "By the cosmic egg," she whispered, her scales shimmering with a mix of awe and fear, "what have we awakened?" The Zarkol, for their part, fought with the savage determination that had made them the scourge of the galaxy. Their ships, more organic than mechanical, sprouted new weapons and sealed breaches even as they were torn apart. Waves of smaller craft, piloted by genetically engineered warriors linked directly to their vessels, swarmed the Terran and Confederation ships. It was in these closer engagements that the true versatility of humanity's forces shone. Terran Marines, clad in powered armor that made them walking tanks, launched from their ships in breaching pods. They smashed into Zarkol vessels, fighting hand-to-hand with creatures that were the stuff of nightmares. Sergeant Maria Chen, leader of Fireteam Echo, grunted as she smashed her powered fist through the chest cavity of a Zarkol warrior. The creature's acidic blood sizzled against her armor's energy shields but failed to penetrate. "Echo Team, push forward," she barked over the squad comm. "Engineering deck is 50 meters ahead. We need to plant those dimensional charges and get the hell out before this whole ship goes quantum. As Chen and her team fought their way through the twisting, organic corridors of the Zarkul ship, similar scenes played out across the battlefield. Humanity's soldiers, enhanced by technology and trained to perfection, proved more than a match for the Zarkul's biological horrors. Back on the Prometheus, Admiral Tanaka watched as the tide of battle shifted decisively in their favor. The Zarkul, for the first time in living memory, were in full retreat. "Admiral," Harper reported, a note of excitement creeping into his usually stoic voice, "the enemy fleet is breaking up. They're attempting to regroup at coordinates Delta 93. Tanaka's eyes narrowed. "Not if I have anything to say about it. Signal the Avalon. It's time to end this." At the rear of the Terran formation, a massive ship unlike any other began to move. The TFS Avalon, Earth's first and only dimensional rift generator, powered up its main systems. Energy readings spiked off the charts as the ship prepared to unleash a weapon that would change the face of warfare forever. "Avalon is in position, Admiral," Harper confirmed. "Awaiting your command." Tanaka took a deep breath, acutely aware of the weight of the moment. "Avalon, you are cleared to fire. Let's show these Xenos why you don't pick a fight with humanity." The space around the Avalon seemed to twist and warp as the ship channeled unimaginable energies. For a moment, all seemed still. Then, with a flash that momentarily outshone nearby stars, a rift opened in the fabric of spacetime, directly in the path of the retreating Zarkul fleet. Ships caught in the rift's event horizon were torn apart, their component atoms scattered across multiple dimensions. Those that managed to avoid direct contact found themselves hopelessly lost in space, their navigation systems unable to cope with the localized changes in the universe's fundamental constants. In the span of a few minutes, the battle was over. The Zarkul fleet, which had been the terror of this sector for decades, was no more. As the dust settled and damage reports began to flood in, the full impact of what had just occurred began to sink in. The Confederation forces, which had played only a supporting role in the battle, stared in a mix of awe and terror at their human allies. On the Confederation command ship, Zix-Era turned to her advisors, her voice barely above a whisper. "We thought we were recruiting an ally. Instead, we may have invited our own doom." Meanwhile, on Earth, President Okafor received the news of the victory with a grim satisfaction. In her office deep beneath the White House, she turned to her chief of staff, Dr. Elias Kassun. "It's done, then," she said, her voice heavy with the weight of responsibility. "There's no going back now." Kassun nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Indeed, Madam President, the galaxy now knows the truth about humanity's capabilities. The question is, what do we do with this power?" Okafor's gaze drifted to a holographic display of the Milky Way, countless stars twinkling in the darkness. "We do what we've always done, Elias. We adapt, we grow, and we strive to be better than those who came before us." She stood, straightening her jacket with a gesture that spoke of determination. "The Confederation fought to use us as pawns in their war. The Zarkul saw us as nothing more than their next conquest. It's time to show them both that humanity is no one's pawn and no one's prey." As news of the battle spread across the galaxy, reactions varied wildly. Some species looked to humanity with hope, seeing them as potential liberators from the Zarkul threat. Others viewed them with fear and suspicion, wondering if they had simply traded one would-be conqueror for another. But for humanity, this was just the beginning. They had stepped onto the galactic stage, and they had no intention of leaving it. The sleeping giant had awakened, and the universe would never be the same. The tables turn. In the days following the decisive battle at Novaris Prime, the political landscape of the galaxy shifted dramatically. The Galactic Confederation, once confident in its role as the dominant power, found itself grappling with a new reality, one where humanity held the technological and military edge. Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood before the hastily convened War Council, her crisp Terran uniform a stark contrast to the varied attire of the alien representatives. The chamber, located on a neutral space station at the fringes of Confederation space, hummed with tension. "Ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished beings," Tanaka began, her voice carrying easily across the room. "The Zarkul threat is far from over. While we've dealt them a significant blow, our intelligence suggests they're regrouping for a major counteroffensive." High Counselor Zixara, her scales dulled with stress, leaned forward. "And what do you propose, Admiral? Your forces have certainly proven effective." Tanaka allowed herself a small smile at the understatement. "What I propose, High Counselor, is a unified command structure, with Earth taking the lead." The chamber erupted into chaos. Various species shouted protests, some in languages that defy translation. Zixara's tail lashed in agitation, a clear sign of her distress. "Silence." The booming voice cut through the din like a knife. All eyes turned to Counselor Kraz, the ancient being rarely raising his voice. "We would do well to listen. The humans have shown not only their strength but their tactical acumen. Perhaps it is time we set aside our pride and learn." As the commotion settled, Tanaka activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. A detailed map of known space materialized, with Zarkul territories highlighted in an ominous red. "Our analysis of Zarkul communication patterns and fleet movements suggests they're massing here, in the Crimson Nebula," Tanaka explained, zooming in on a turbulent region of space. "We believe this is the location of one of their primary cloning facilities. If we can strike it, we can cripple their ability to replenish their forces." The alien representatives murmured among themselves, clearly impressed by the depth of human intelligence gathering. Vextrol, his crystalline form pulsing with curiosity, spoke up. "And how do you propose we penetrate their defenses? The Crimson Nebula is a natural fortress." Tanaka's eyes gleamed. "With this," she gestured, and the hologram shifted to display a sleek, almost predatory-looking ship. The Shadowblade, a prototype stealth vessel capable of bending light and other electromagnetic radiation around itself. Essentially, it's invisible to all known forms of detection. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Such technology would revolutionize warfare, espionage, everything. Zixara, her voice strained, asked the question on everyone's mind. "How long have you had this capability?" "Long enough," Tanaka replied simply. "Now shall we discuss the battle plan?" As the War Council debated strategy, events were unfolding across the galaxy that would further complicate the already volatile situation. On Xylos Prime, a Confederation core world, protests erupted outside the planetary capital. Citizens of various species, united in their fear and anger, demanded answers. How could their leaders have so gravely underestimated the humans? Were they truly safe with such a powerful, unknown factor in play? Meanwhile, in the depths of Zarkul territory, Supreme Overmind Keskul seethed with rage. The creature, a writhing mass of tentacles and biomechanical implants, interfaced directly with the organic computers that ran the Zarkul war machine. The humans must be destroyed. Kiskul's thoughts reverberated through the hive mind. Divert all resources to weapons development. We will meet their technological prowess with our biological mastery. In secret labs across Zarkul space, nightmarish new life forms were being bred. Soldiers with regenerative capabilities that bordered on the miraculous, living ships that could adapt their very structure mid-battle, and worse. The Zarkul were preparing to fight fire with fire. Back on Earth, President Okafor faced challenges of her own. In a secure bunker beneath Washington, D.C., she met with her most trusted advisors. "The populace is restless," Defense Secretary Rodrigo Vega reported, his holographic avatar flickering slightly. "They're demanding more information about our true capabilities, our long-term plans. Some are calling for immediate colonization of Confederation worlds, claiming it's our manifest destiny to rule the galaxy." Okafor's brow furrowed. We didn't hide our strength for all these centuries just to become conquerors at the first opportunity. Humanity must be better than that. Dr. Elias Cousin, her chief of staff, interjected. But we can't ignore the strategic advantages our position offers. The Confederation is fractured, unsure. If we don't assert ourselves, someone else will fill the power vacuum. Perhaps, Okafor mused, there's a middle ground. We lead, but we do so by example. Show the galaxy a better way to govern, to coexist. As Earth's leaders debated their next moves, the joint Terran Confederation fleet prepared for its assault on the Crimson Nebula. Aboard the Prometheus, Admiral Tanaka oversaw final preparations. Shadowblade is in position, Commander Harper reported. They're ready to begin their insertion run on your command. Tanaka nodded, her expression grim. Give them the green light, and may whatever gods they believe in watch over them. The Shadowblade, piloted by an elite crew of Terran Special Forces, slipped into the roiling gases of the Crimson Nebula. Its advanced stealth systems rendered it truly invisible, allowing it to glide past Zarkol patrols undetected. Captain Zora Sato, the Shadowblade's commanding officer, felt a bead of sweat roll down her temple despite the ship's regulated environment. All hands, maintain absolute silence. We're approaching the outer defenses of the cloning facility. As the Shadowblade penetrated deeper into enemy territory, the main fleet held position just outside the nebula. The plan was simple, yet audacious. The Shadowblade would infiltrate the facility, plant dimensional charges similar to those used in the previous battle, then trigger them remotely. The resulting space-time disruption would tear the facility apart from the inside, and the fleet would move in to mop up any survivors. Hours passed in tense silence. Then, suddenly, alarms blared across the fleet. Multiple Zarkol signatures detected. Harper shouted, "They're not coming from the nebula. They're behind us." Tanaka's eyes widened in shock. It's a trap. They knew we were coming. She spun to face the communications officer. Signal the Shadowblade. Tell them to abort the mission and get out of there now. But as the order was given, a blinding flash erupted from within the Crimson Nebula. The Shadowblade, whether acting on its own initiative or forced by circumstances, had triggered its charges. The nebula itself seemed to scream as space-time warped and tore. The Zarkol cloning facility, along with a significant portion of their fleet, vanished in an instant. As the Terran Confederation forces found themselves caught between the devastation in the nebula and the ambushing Zarkol fleet, Admiral Tanaka gripped the edges of her command console. All ships, battle stations, she ordered, her voice steel. The Zarkol wanted a fight. Let's give them one they'll never forget. The battle that followed would go down in galactic history as one of the most brutal and decisive engagements of the war. Humanity's advanced technology clashed with Zarkol biomechanical horrors in a display of destructive power that reshaped the very stars. And as the conflict raged, the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, with humanity standing at the crossroads of becoming either its greatest hope or its most terrible nightmare. A new galactic order. The Battle of the Crimson Nebula had raged for days, warping the very fabric of space-time and leaving a scar across the galaxy it would be visible for millennia. As the dust settled and the remnants of shattered fleets drifted in the void, a new reality began to take shape. Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood on the observation deck of the Prometheus, her usually immaculate uniform showing signs of wear. The view before her was one of devastation and victory. The Zarkol ambush had been costly, but in the end, humanity's technological edge had prevailed. "Status report," she said, her voice hoarse from days of issuing commands. Commander Harper, his cybernetic implants glowing faintly in the dim light, responded. "The Zarkol fleet is in full retreat. Admiral, we've detected massive energy signatures from their home systems. It appears they're activating some kind of defensive measure." Tanaka nodded grimly. "They're going to ground. Prepare the fleet for pursuit. We end this now." As the Terran Confederation forces regrouped for the final push, news of the battle's outcome spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On countless worlds, beings of all species watched in awe and fear as footage of humanity's weapons tearing apart space itself was broadcast. In the Galactic Confederation's emergency session, the mood was one of subdued shock. High Counselor Zixara, her scales dulled with exhaustion, addressed the assembly. "We stand at a crossroads," she began, her voice carrying the weight of recent events. "The humans have proven themselves to be far more than we ever imagined. The question now is, what kind of galaxy will we shape together?" The chamber erupted into heated debate. Some called for immediately granting humanity a seat on the council, while others warned of the dangers of concentrating too much power in the hands of a single species. Meanwhile, in the depths of Zarkul space, Supreme Overmind Keskul faced a rebellion within its own ranks. The hive mind, once unquestioningly loyal, now roiled with dissent. "We cannot win this war," the thoughts of countless Zarkul echoed. "The humans wield powers beyond our comprehension. We must sue for peace." Kiskul's rage reverberated through the collective consciousness. "Heresy. We are the Zarkul. We do not surrender. We do not." The Overmind's thoughts were cut short as a dimensional rift opened within its chamber. A team of Terran Special Forces, led by the now legendary Captain Zarasato of the Shadowblade, materialized. "Supreme Overmind Kesktal." Sato's voice rang out, amplified by her powered armor. "By the authority of the Terran Federation and the Galactic Confederation, you are hereby placed under arrest for crimes against sentient life." As the Zarkul leadership was systematically dismantled, President Amara Okafor prepared to address not just Earth, but the entire known galaxy. The weight of this moment was not lost on her as she stood before the cameras, the flags of Earth and the Galactic Confederation behind her. "Citizens of Earth, members of the Galactic Confederation, and all sentient beings who call this galaxy home," she began, her voice steady and clear. "Today marks the end of the Zarkul threat, but it also marks the beginning of a new era." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. Humanity stepped onto the galactic stage, not by choice, but out of necessity. We revealed capabilities that have, understandably, caused fear and uncertainty among our galactic neighbors. Today, I want to address those fears directly. Okafor's gaze seemed to meet that of every viewer, her sincerity palpable. "Earth does not seek dominion over the galaxy. We do not wish to replace one tyranny with another. Instead, we extend a hand of friendship and cooperation to all species." She outlined a bold vision, a restructuring of the Galactic Confederation into a more equitable body, with safeguards against any one species or alliance gaining too much control. Earth would share its technological advancements, but under strict controls to prevent their misuse. "We have the power to reshape worlds," Okafor continued. "But with that power comes a great responsibility. Let us use our strengths not to conquer, but to build. Not to dominate, but to elevate. Together, we can create a galaxy of peace, prosperity, and endless discovery." As Okafor's speech concluded, reactions across the galaxy were mixed but largely positive. Many saw hope in humanity's vision, a chance for a truly united galactic community. In the months that followed, the galaxy underwent rapid changes. The remnants of the Zarkul Empire were dismantled, with many of their subjugated worlds gaining independence. Earth took a leading role in the reformed Galactic Confederation, but true to Okafor's word, measures were put in place to ensure a balance of power. Humanity's advanced technology began to spread, carefully and under strict oversight. The trans-dimensional corridors that had hidden Earth's true capabilities now became trade routes, drastically reducing travel times across the galaxy. Medical breakthroughs extended lifespans and cured diseases once thought incurable. But perhaps the most profound change was in how the various species of the galaxy viewed each other. The conflict had shown the folly of hatred and fear based on differences. A new age of cultural exchange and cooperation dawned. 5 years after the end of the Tsar Cold War, Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood on the bridge of a new ship, the CSS Unity, the flagship of the Confederation's peacekeeping fleet. Beside her stood Zix Era, no longer High Counselor, but now her equal as a fleet commander. "You know," Zix Era mused, her scales shimmering with contentment, "when we sent that ultimatum to Earth all those years ago, I never imagined it would lead to this." Tanaka allowed herself a small smile. Sometimes, the universe has a way of surprising us. The key is how we choose to respond to those surprises. As the Unity prepared to embark on its maiden voyage, a mission of exploration to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, both Tanaka and Zix Era felt a sense of hope. The galaxy had faced its trial by fire and emerged stronger, more united. Humanity had awakened, stepped onto the galactic stage, and in doing so, had helped forge a new destiny for all sentient beings. The future, with all its challenges and opportunities, awaited. And as the Unity's engines flared to life, carrying representatives of a dozen species into the unknown, one thing was certain: whatever the universe had in store, they would face it together. The end, and a new beginning.